Welcome to the Diary of a Side Hustler podcast. I'm your host, Kayla Brooks. Let's get into today's episode. Whether pursuing a passion project or passive income, over 40% of Americans have a side hustle. The Diary of a Side Hustler shares the personal stories of small business owners who turned their passions into an opportunity for profit while balancing life, multiple jobs, and everything in between. Today, I am joined by Kyle Horton, founder of Chosen One Training. Kyle Horton, a Charlotte, North Carolina native, has always been an athlete. In high school, he competed and won 2 state championships in football and 4 state champion awards, plus 1 national championship in relay and track. He went on to play football at Gardner-Webb University, where he was a 2-time All-Big South wide receiver and return specialist. While at Gardner-Webb, he also earned his bachelor's degree in business. Since then, Kyle has been navigating his corporate job as a risk management officer in the financial services industry and being the founder and CEO of Chosen One Training. Chosen One Training is based in Charlotte, North Carolina, and offers functional fitness classes, lifestyle and former athlete training, as well as performance training for current athletes. Interestingly, Kyle did not initially intend to use his business degree to start a business. Throughout Kyle's journey as a side hustler, he has repeatedly run into obstacles, including being kicked out of the gym at 5 a.m. He used all of those obstacles as opportunities to rethink his business model. Kyle, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Admittedly, I am very excited for this interview because, one, it is the first episode of season 1, and then also, I've got to witness your business grow and all the things as a client, as a consultant, as a friend. So I'm very excited to actually do this here today. And by the time this drops, if I'm not mistaken, you will be celebrating your 5-year anniversary
Correct. Yes.
for Chosen One Training.
Yes.
So I want to start with congratulations. So we're gonna go ahead and jump right into it. Tell me, did you always want to be a trainer? If someone asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up? Were you like, yeah, I want to run a athletic coaching, lifestyle training business?
So I would say no. Growing up, I really kind of despised the word coach. It's like, hey, Coach Horton, Coach Horton. I heard that all my life just because my father was my coach majority of my time playing. So I always hear Coach Horton, Coach Horton. So I'm like, when I grow up, I'm not going to be a coach. I want to get as far away from that as possible. And now look at me.
Okay, so your dad was a coach.
Yes.
So is he also an athlete? Do athletes run in your family? How did we get here?
So he was a professional athlete.
Okay.
He played in the NFL for 10 years.
Okay, coach.
Yes. So once he retired, and me and my brother, we got of age to start elementary school, middle school sports. He was pretty much our coach from elementary through just about high school.
Okay, so you, your dad, and your brother.
All athletes.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. Who'd your dad play for, if you don't mind sharing?
So drafted to the Kansas City Chiefs, and then he played for the Washington Redskins at the time, who are now the Commanders, and then also the LA Rams. Or excuse me, the LA Raiders. I'm sorry.
Okay, come on,
Yeah.
coach. Do you think that influenced your decision to be an athlete and specifically play football?
I would say so, yes. So starting my athletic background kind of started just kind of following my brother's footsteps. So he's actually 2.5 years older than me. So when he started, I believe he was probably 6-ish at the time, 6 or 7. So I was honestly just following them to the field, just kind of wanting to hang out and see what my brother was doing at the time. So that's how I kind of got into sports. And then from there, I think just my natural love for competing, making friends, being around like-minded individuals kind of just took over, and I was pretty athletic. So
What other sports did you play outside of football?
So in total, I played baseball. Now I stopped playing baseball. I got hit by a pitch one time and didn't like that, so I ended up stopping.
So you'd rather get hit by other people in football?
Right. It's a little bit different.
Got
A little bit different. I played basketball growing up, so basketball was actually my the sport I liked the most, I would say. Based off my stature, I wouldn't have, I'm a little bit on the shorter side. I'm 5'11", 6 foot, 6 foot.
No, it's okay.
6 foot on a good day.
People be 5'10",
Right.
maybe rounding up. No.
Right. So 6 foot on a good day, 5'11". So basketball as well. Ran track in high school. And then obviously football. I did swim as well too. One summer was on the swim team. And I think that's all.
Okay, and then you also went on to play football in college.
College, yes.
How'd that go? I feel like you had a pretty impressive record when you were in college. So
Right.
like, what happened?
It was cool. I think I definitely enjoyed my time. Looking back at it, I still have friends from, like day one that I still talk to every day. Earning a scholarship, so school was free. So that was something I'm looking back at now that really, has helped out.
Because if it's free, it's for me.
You know what I mean? Right. So I had a couple offers coming out of college, so I ended up deciding to go to Gardner-Webb University.
What made you study business?
Honestly, going into college, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So it was either business administration or international business. So those are the two that I was pretty much based off of what we had offered. So it's a private, small D1 AA school. So not too many majors that we had, provided to us. So those are the two that stuck out to me. And I'm like, well, just do business administration. And if you ever want to like specialize in something, you can always minor in like, accounting or something, something like that. I know, the Gardner-Webb business program was one of the best programs on campus. So I felt that if, I could go in and just kind of study a business degree, I would tap into like my finance classes where I'm, taking accounting classes, marketing classes at school.
Okay, so talk to me about your time playing in college. Is there any games that you remember that you're just like, that was like one of my favorite moments of my experience?
So I would say probably my sophomore year, we were playing Presbyterian College, and it was the first play of the game. And this was something that we had kind of talked with the coaches all week. Hey, this is gonna be the first play of the game. And it was coming to me. So it was like one of those things, don't overthink it. We ran this play all week. Just don't drop the ball. Don't drop the ball. I knew I was gonna be wide open. Just don't drop it. So first play, we ended up having a penalty. So it was a 5-yard penalty. So I'm turned up, like let's go. First play, penalty. So we don't even get to run it. Back up 5 yards. So I'm thinking coach is probably gonna change the play since, we just had a penalty negative play. He called the same play again, run it again. So boom, 75-yard touchdown over the whole defense, caught it untouched. Started the game off like that, 7-0. Literally, I think like 10 seconds ran off the clock. So that was probably my best college memory, just based off like the first play of the game. That's one of my like dreams, kind of first play score. So that I think that was one of my best memories. So
Okay, so sounds like you were pretty good, is what I'm gathering. And I think we talked about it when we first met. I had asked you, like, if someone asked you what you want to be when you grow up,
right.
you said that you want to be a professional athlete. So tell me, when did that change?
Like throughout college, definitely had some injuries. So some things that I just couldn't control. So my freshman year, I ended up breaking my left fibula. So played like 6 games and then missed maybe like 7. So it wasn't a wasted season, but it was one of those things where definitely wish I would have been able to play at least 6 or 7 more games. And then just throughout my college career, hamstring issues, I had a couple concussions, things of that nature. So when I was able to put together a full season my senior year, ended up all conference, did everything that I planned out and started to do. So I definitely finished my career like I wanted to. Started and finished. I think there's always going to be ups and downs here and there within your college career, or sports in general. So ended up having the opportunity to participate in a pro day. So
what's pro day for people who don't know?
Pro day is simply it's your last year of eligibility, or like when you're graduating, you have an opportunity to pretty much work out for professional scouts and kind of get on their radar. They'll be able to kind of like do interviews, get to know you a little bit more.
So this is like everything you worked for. This is like
Literally,
pro day. This is like I've been training
this
all
is
my
it,
life
right.
to be an athlete, to be at this
Exactly.
moment. Okay.
Exactly. So this is like pretty much your big job interview for sports if you're wanting to go down this route. So your bigger schools typically have their own pro days, like regardless if you got playtime or didn't play. If you were a senior, you can participate. They just kind of give you that luxury of going to the school. So in my perspective, it was a little bit tougher to even find a pro day to get accepted to, because we didn't have the numbers of the bigger schools. So I had to kind of like tag along at UNC Charlotte's pro day. So was able to get there. But through my training process, right, I ended up tearing my hamstring again. So again, just injuries. But at this time, it was 2 weeks, into my pro day, like my big job interview. So wasn't able to perform like I wanted to, wasn't able to kind of do some of the drills and the activities that I had us working out and doing. So didn't go like I wanted to.
What does that mean that it didn't go like I wanted to? Like, take us there with you. What happened?
In my perspective, based off like my size, stature, and I played receiver, I was return specialist. So my specialty was like my speed, my quickness, being able to just be one of the fastest players on the field, be explosive, and kind of just bring a spark to whatever team I would have went to. And for me, pulling my hamstring at that time, I wasn't able to run my full speed. So we do like a 40-yard dash. It's pretty much to see like how fast you are, how strong you are, like if you're agile, footwork, things of that nature. So one of the drills that we did do that they test you on is your 40-yard dash, and that's essentially how fast can you run 40 yards. And your faster athletes tend to get opportunities with different teams just based off of their athletic abilities, things of that nature. So that was one of the things that my agent was pushing me for, like with these teams, like, hey, he's gonna run this, he's guaranteed, like, you know what I mean, like making guarantees.
He was selling
He
you.
was selling me, right? And that's part of the process. And I live for that type of pressure because I think pressure either busts pipes or makes diamonds. So I was mentally ready, locked in. Physically, my body kind of let me down at the wrong time. So wasn't able to run my 40. So I didn't have a time, wasn't able to do my on-field drills to my full speed. So didn't get accurate times to like be able to send to scouts or kind of talk over. It was kind of one of those things where, hey, we like you, we appreciate everything you did in college, but, there were other athletes who my same position, same size, height, weight, that they kind of had the upper hand on me just because of the number situation or just the situation in general. So
I want to go back for a moment because I recently had a job interview that I was really excited for, and I didn't get it, and I was a little disappointed. I prepped for this job for maybe like 3-4 weeks.
right,
You prepped for years
right,
for this one day,
right.
for this one moment. What did that feel like? I've been playing sports for what, almost 20 years
20, yep.
at that point in time, and it's interview day, and
Right.
I can't perform.
What did that feel like? I mean, it was definitely a tough time. Because like your preparation period, again, you start, whenever you start playing sports, typically, right, you always either have the thought of going professional or aspirations, dreams or goals, or know somebody who went professionally. In this case, someone in my own household went professional. So that's pretty much what
The bar's
the
here.
bar has been set, you know what I mean? So it's like, no pressure from my family or friends or anyone. Like, it was just something I truly wanted to do. Had dedicated a lot of my life to that. So it was tough. It was tough. And it was something I think that didn't really hit me in the moment. Like I think I kind of downplayed it at the time. Like, okay, well, they saw my film. Like, they saw like, they know what I can do.
They know what's
Right.
up.
Like, we talked to them. They said they were going to do this. They said, just get healthy and everything is going to be fine. And then it's like your phone stopped ringing. It's like, okay, the conversation stopped. It's like, hey, reach out to your agent. Have you talked to anybody? Have you heard anything? Like, what's the next steps? And then when it finally hit reality, it's like, there's really no next steps. It's really just kind of wait. It didn't really hit me until I believe like the next football season when I had some friends still in college that were playing, like getting ready to suit up for their next season. And I'm like, I'm not really, like, this is the first year of my life where I'm not preparing for a season or training intensely for something, like, or have to take classes in college for whatever. So it was definitely a tough time. I think, shout out to my family and friends to keep me grounded during that period of time. And it's just one of those things where it's like, had conversations with my parents. They kind of prepped me for that day or that moment in the sense of like, hey, find out what you like to do outside of sports. Do you want to coach? Do you want to use the degree you got from your school and, find a corporate job or find a 9-to-5? Do you want to start your own business? So shout out to my parents for, like, it wasn't kind of like a shock or surprise in a sense of like, what do I do now? It was more so kind of coming to reality, coming to be okay with it as much as possible, and honestly just pivoting and trying to find what I was interested in outside of sports, or what I was interested in outside of playing sports. I'll say that.
Is it safe to say that the injury like changed your life?
Yes. Yes, and I'm a big believer on everything happens for a reason. It might take time to, understand what the reason is or um, cope with the, understanding of that. But I think everything happens for a reason. So I can just take everything in stride now.
So what happened next? Like your life has now changed. You have an
Yes.
injury. You're not playing sports for the first time in your life. Like, what did you do? How did you find yourself again?
So, and that was tough though. That was tough. I think timing kind of helped me out in the sense of so that was like 2019. My last season was finished in 2019. So at that point, I just honestly found a job.
What was the
Um,
job?
so I was working in a customer service center, and that was essentially so I could get a new car. The turning point was my car at the time. I had that for 8 or 9 years. 2004 Buick Regal,
What color?
brown, coffee
Okay.
brown, coffee brown. My windows didn't roll down. I had no heat in the whip. Um, I'm like I could see my breath when it got cold. So, funny story. In college, we were a little bit northern from where we are now in Charlotte, so it would get a little bit colder. Our morning sessions would start at 5 a.m. Right, it's 5:15 a.m. So I'm waking up probably like 4:45, getting to the facility, but my car is like my windshield is ice. So like I have periods of time where I would like pour hot water over my window.
Where did you get the hot water from?
Literally, I warm it up before you leave the house. Boom, pour it, right? Not too much because your windshield might freeze or might crack, right? But just enough so I could really like scrape out maybe 2 holes for my eyes so I could see the road. One time, one time I drove with like my door cracked and my head like out the window a little bit. So I've been through it. I've been through it with this car.
That's funny.
But I will say
But that was your baby.
that was my baby. 8 years, 8 years strong, no issues. It started breaking down a tad bit in this process. I was putting it on the road, going my trainer at the time was like 35 minutes from my house. So 35 minutes one way, 35 minutes the other way every day. Um, and it was time to get a new car. So I ended up having to get a big boy job, customer care, call center, and it was just honestly so I could save up as much as I could to put a down payment on the car.
How long did you do that?
So I was with that company for maybe like 6 months, maybe I'll say close to a year, give or take. And then I started training in March 2020. So that year finished. Then we went into 2020. The pandemic happened. So that's essentially how my business started. Pandemic kind of, I think that was like a time or like a phrase of like pandemic businesses or pandemic ideas.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody had like a pandemic hustle
Right,
situation.
right. So I was in the same boat with everybody else. And that's kind of how what started and blossomed everything.
So, okay, so take me to your working call center.
Yes.
Um,
Ooh, don't take me back, please.
okay, were you still working out? Like you were going to work
Yes.
9 to 5? Were you still working out?
Yes. So had to be at work at 9. We had a gym at our job. So either
Okay.
working out in the gym before, working kind of going in and clocking in, or doing something at home and then just kind
And
of
you were working out by yourself.
working out by myself. Yep.
Okay. So then how did you get into like training other people?
Honestly, this is actually the second business idea I had. So in college, I was making highlight tape. So I don't know if you're familiar, like pretty much on social media.
So like reels today.
Like exactly. Yeah. So I was making highlight tapes or making reels for other athletes and pretty much charging them the fee. So that was in college though. Literally
Okay, so you were a content creator before content
before,
creation.
yeah, right. Like 2017, 2018. That's pretty much when I think everything kind of for myself, athletes maybe started posting a little bit more. I think social media just changing it in a whole as a whole tad bit. So, was charging just my teammates like $15 to make their actual tapes or whatever. So
You were cheap labor.
cheap labor,
Yeah.
right. Cheap labor. So that was my first idea or first, I would say, introduction to some type of entrepreneurship or like working for yourself, making your own money, whatever. So I've already had the entrepreneurship, I think, mentality. So when COVID happened, it's like you have a lot more free time to make a little bit of money, like nothing crazy. I think my first My first sessions, I think I charged like maybe $10, $15
To train
to
people?
train people.
You charged $10.
$10.
For how long? Like, how
It
long? What
was
was this, like
maybe
a
like
2-minute session?
this was like 90 minutes.
This was an hour and a half, and you were charging
$10,
people
$15.
$10, $15?
Yes. But
That is insane.
and it was for the love of the game though. I really didn't at first think of it as like a business or a training. It was just more so I'm going out here and doing this. Now later, when I kind of thought about the business model and things of that nature, that's when I kind of got more serious on the business aspect. I have a couple notes still saved from 2020 where I have
Okay.
like the business ideas that I was thinking of, which was like lawn care service.
You were gonna open a lawn care
Yeah. So
business.
I was gonna do lawn care. That's one of the traits I picked up. One of my family friends owned a business to where he was in real estate and he had multiple properties around Charlotte. So he would pretty much hire me to do the maintenance and lawn care in the summers of college for myself. So was able to make a little money there. He provided a lot of game on just like how to upkeep a home. So I've installed washers, dryers. I've painted an interior building, like a apartment complex building by myself. Clean gutters, things of that nature. So that is where I kind of got the lawn care idea from. It's like, okay, well, I can maybe do a little something with that. So it was like lawn care, becoming a trainer, and I think I had starting your gym was like just one of my like big picture goals. Um, and I think the rest of it was more like social media, like digital
You
related.
can be a social media manager.
Right. So like where I didn't have to like physically go cut grass
Yeah.
and earn $10.
What is it with $10? Like,
That's
why
what I was
was
getting
that?
paid. I was getting paid $10 an hour to cut grass for like 4 hours, 5 hours a day. So I would cut grass, go work out because that's how I was paying for my trainings at the time. Again, my trainer 35 minutes.
So this is when you were like
College
and
and in between transitional phase. So that's how I was, trying to get my money.
So you were always hustling.
Always. Shout out to Mr. Ellis Williams. He pretty much put me on game as far as the entrepreneur mentality, real estate, property management. So I definitely got a lot of game from him while making some money as well too. So it wasn't that bad, I'll say.
Okay, shout out to Mr. Williams.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where, yes, I could have asked my parents. Yes, I could have asked, for a little assistance, but it's like I just had the entrepreneurship mentality, the hustle mentality. Once I left for college, it was like financially, I'm just gonna figure it out.
Wait, okay, so how did you get your first client? Like you went from, hey, I'm in the call center to when did somebody call you and was like, hey, I wanna work out?
At first, it was more so like we were just kind of getting a group of guys together working out.
Who's we?
Honestly, just my friend group. So I have like 4 or 5 close high school friends that I went to school with. We all played on the same like football, ran track together, things of that nature. So we were all home and we were all working out together. So it was just kind of like and we would always do that when we were home for break. And so it was just kind of like one of those, hey, everybody's back home. It's spring break, whatever the case is. Let's just work out, get some work in. So that's what it started as.
Okay.
And as the time went on, people started reaching out and, hey, what time are you guys going here? What do you like? When's the next workout? And myself, I love the game. I love the hustle. I love the grind, but I'm not about to work out every day. I'm gonna give you maybe one day rest and then the next, so I was like, I can't physically work out with you, but I can show you like kind of just walk you through what we did. And from there, it just kind of went, okay, the entrepreneurship mentality kicked in. You can monetize this in some way. So boom, I had one of my friends made a flyer. I pitched him the idea, pitched it to a couple of my friends, and my family at the time. One of my friends from college made a flyer, ended up posting that on Instagram with a couple of videos of just myself working out and some of the stuff we've been doing.
Because you had content, because you were making reels.
Content, right? So from there, that was pretty much the initial launch. Hey, I'm doing this. It was all football related things. So like receiver drills, your footwork, hand-eye coordination, speed development was kind of like the avenue I first took off with. So that's kind of where I was focused right there. And one post, couple of DMs later, we were rolling. The first couple was just like, hey, just pull up. Like, we're gonna be out here,
Okay. Is it group session,
this is just
one-on-one?
group. This is just
Okay.
a, hey, come out there. And then from there is when I started getting like one-on-one requests, like, hey, can you work with me on this specific things? Like, can you help my route running ability? Can you help my hands? Can you help, get faster? So those sessions, I think, were like maybe $15 to $20, like
You were charging $15, $20 for individual
for
training.
individual training.
Okay.
So I'm lugging everything in my car, in my trunk. So footballs, cones, ladders, all the equipment was in my trunk.
Where'd you
And
get the equipment?
just honestly some stuff I had around the house.
Okay.
My
From training yourself.
From training myself, and then also my father, he actually had a football league. So he created a youth football league that I participated in, a lot of my friends as well. So he had some equipment still left over from that.
Okay, cool. So, were you still working at the time?
So still working customer care. And it was essentially schedule would be like I would have sessions from like 7 to 8, 8 to 9. I was late to work every day, intentionally, but not like we had to get our work in. So
Yeah.
I
Priorities.
had I had like a 10-minute, 15-minute buffer, so I'm making it back home. The field I typically would work out at is maybe like 5 minutes from my house. So if I'm in the car at 9, I can be back at my computer logged in, ready to go 9:05,
Okay,
9:10.
sweaty, but logged in.
Right. Yeah, we'll figure the rest out later. But I'm online. I'm ready to go at 9:10, 9:15. So a couple of sessions before I clock in, was working from about 9 to about 5, 6, and I would have maybe a session started like 6:15. Give myself time to get to the field, get set up, and maybe like 2 sessions in the evening. So that was like maybe the first year. But when I very first started, it was like one session a day. So it was like something that we kind of built on.
Okay, and so were you at this point in time, were you chosen one training? Like, how'd you get
Yes.
to the name?
So, yes, started as Chosen One Training. Haven't changed the name too much. Changed a couple logos, but that honestly was something where once I was pitching it to my friends, I had a couple or names on a list, a couple ideas,
What else was on the list? Do you
phrases.
remember?
I don't remember. I don't.
So okay, cool. So you're doing customer care, you're training people. Are you doing like for training, are you doing all this by yourself?
So I started all by myself, yes. At this point in the world, like it's still up in the air. Are we gonna go back to school? School is still out, or work like school is still from home. Work is still from home. Are we going back to school? Like what's gonna happen? My high school reached out and was like, hey, seeing what you're doing, seeing what you're creating, or seeing what you've been doing, would you be interested in running or holding our off season like COVID program?
Oh, that's major.
Right. So this was like 3 months in, I think. At this point, my high school reached out, hey, would you mind doing this? And I was like, yeah, cool, why not? How many kids? And they were like, well, the JV and varsity program. And so that's in total, on a good day, probably 100 kids. At your
So it's just you and 100 kids.
right. So at that point is when my brother, he was helping me on the social media aspect up until that point. That's when he pretty much stepped into the coaching role as well. And then I was working with Ricky Smith. He's one of my other business partners as well. I was working with his younger brother, and we were just working on some receiver fundamentals. He was just getting into high school. We pretty much had a conversation after he came.
You and Ricky.
Me and Ricky. So he came to a session and was just kind of like seeing how his little brother was doing, as a big brother would. And he just had a small, I remember the conversation we had, he was saying, how far would you want to take this, or how big do you want to make this thing? And this was literally the summer of 2020. And at that point, I'm just like, I'm just trying to get my $10, $15, and have a little money to, stack and whatever the case is. So I'm like, I don't really know, bro. Like, and so Ricky and I grew up in the same church, went to the same middle school, and then ultimately same high school. So families are close. And it was just a conversation to where we had, hey, like, this could be this, or this could, potentially turn into something bigger than just training athletes or just training at this field. So
How long was this conversation? Do you remember?
the initial conversation wasn't too long. It was just like, it was good to see you, boom, boom. just think on this. Let's chop it up when you're, got some time. Because I think I had some other sessions or had to go somewhere. Probably had to go to work, honestly,
Which you were already
which I
late
was
for.
late for. So that first conversation was truly brief, and then from there it was like Ricky, myself, and my brother kind of got on the same accord schedule wise for this off season program. Now my brother and Ricky also graduated from Mallard Creek, so pitched the idea to them. Obviously those numbers was something that one person just couldn't obtain, like, by themselves. So pretty much came up with a game plan, and the plan from there was to do the off season program, make a little money. I think we were getting in total, like we were charging $5 per kid.
Five
Five.
dollars.
So, and so it was like we might have made $30 or $40 per week per trainer. You know what I mean? So it was like, it was something to do at the time. It was fun. We were giving back to community. Didn't really think too much of the business side, but was just like, hey, this is dope. We're giving back to our high school, and
Yeah.
it's all good.
Let's take a step back. I know you talked about like you always learn how to hustle, blah blah blah, whatever. But when did you actually learn how to like run a business? Like as an entrepreneur myself, there are a lot of things that when you get into business, you usually sign up to do the thing you love. Like you signed up to train. But now there's people's kids here. I'm collecting money. I'm doing marketing. I'm doing negotiations. Like, when did you learn how to do all the other things that allowed you to, like, I'm actually like making this a business?
So I'm a big believer. I think everything happens for a reason. And I think God definitely places people and situations in your life for certain reasons. You might not see it until, whenever, but I think everything happens for a reason. So I think going into Gardner-Webb and not have, or going into college in general, not having a true idea of what I wanted to do, and kind of being pushed to just think open and think broad at the time, to go into business administration, I was able to utilize like taking finance classes, taking accounting class. I've taken marketing. I've taken sports management. So I've taken an entrepreneurship class. Now, I think, school is one of those things where I think you get the most out of what you take from it. Like you can be in class and get by, just kind of skate by and not really utilize what the knowledge or utilizing the material. But I had to make a business plan for, I believe it was my sports management class, and that was like a semester long project. You're in a group, come up with the business idea. Ours was a storefront, so ended up having a sporting goods store, so not a gym, but still in a sports industry, which I think can kind of be parallel to the gym that we own now. So the experience from customer care and working with other people and having to provide a service allowed for me to be able to, I guess, approach or communicate with clients, communicate with customers, communicate with potential customers. um, Utilizing the marketing aspects I have is like, okay, well, social media is big. Like, post as much as you can, post what you're doing, post your work. If people gravitate towards it, they do. If they don't, they don't, right? If you get one person to gravitate or one person to message you, that's a win, just because you can build off of your, social capital. So, um, it was some small things that I picked up on in my journey before I actually made a specific business plan, to be very honest. Um, but I would say like my family definitely pushed me to, okay, hey, you're having a lot of clients now, you're growing. Let's maybe get serious about this. Or, my dad having the entrepreneurship experience was, hey, do you have a business plan? Do you have a business plan? Like literally he would ask me that every day. And I'm like, nah, like I don't, like what you,
More vibes.
yeah, like I'm just literally like I'm trying to go get my $15, $10. Like they honestly, I think the people around me, family, friends, saw the future in a sense of like they saw a lot more than what it was, and then from there, that's when I honestly, okay, let me lock in. You might got something here if you do this rightly or do this efficient and effectively. So I would say honestly, maybe took about a year to literally like, okay, side hustle, right? You started it, cool. Now you're having clients who are continuing your services or wanting to, or asking for more services
More than
or
$15 worth.
right. So now it's like at first it was cool. You're not really putting too much time into it. It's like you just show up, do what you need to, and then, go and do the rest of what you need to do. But now it turned into I'm talking to parents. Parents are asking, hey, what do you provide? Hey, can you work with my child one on one? Can we go set a schedule 3 days a week now? Like, you know what I mean? So it's just getting a little bit more serious. And then from there, it's like I was still doing field and football related things, and now it's like, okay, well, you might can do a little bit more, or how can you expand this, or how can you honestly make the most money that you would want to make?
One, I think it's really important and very like instrumental to have people that see you and see your potential, because sometimes we get so deep in the like, I'm on vibes, I'm
Right,
kikiing,
right,
I'm having a great time. And I know sometimes it's frustrating when parents are like, well, you need to do da
right,
like, bro, I'm chill,
right.
chill back. I'm just having a good time.
Exactly.
So talk to me like when you started making a business plan, like what were you thinking in that moment? Now that we've crossed off lawn care, we've crossed off sporting goods store, like what are we thinking now? Like chosen one training is a thing. We have almost 100 like high school students, and now we're asking for one-on-one sessions. Like, where are you? Where's your head?
So mentally, I would say still kind of living in the moment, like still very much tunnel vision. Hey, I'm just trying to, at this point, get as many clients as I can in a day, still make it on time to work, clock out, and then
5, 10 minutes late,
right.
but on
Hey,
time
we
ish.
made it, right? So
So
that's honestly mentally where I was at, just kind of like in the moment, tunnel vision. Hey, um, at this time, like my brothers are with me, so let's try to run it up. Let's try to get as much as we can in this pandemic, because we don't know when it's gonna be up or like what's next in the world in general. So the first initial business plan was rough. It was shaky. I think honestly,
what's rough? What was on it?
just like the I'm kind of like specific now on organization, and it's taking some time to get there, but at first it was more so like set a couple goals, and try to market and gain as many clients as you can for the week. So I was honestly working on a week to week basis, still only just working with football, and then like parents would reach out, hey, can you come work? Like, do you offer strength training? Can you come to this field? Can you come closer to my house? So it just got a lot of clients wanting more specifics. And obviously, you can charge a little bit more for travel fees now, right?
$10 travel fee?
Right. Right. Um, Having to get more equipment, having to, the initial startup bag, couple footballs, cones, those are cool to start off with. But now you're making purchases,
You're investing now.
you're investing now, right? So you're buying more equipment, you're buying more footballs, you're buying tripods to set up your phone. So now you can like work with,
Because you've always been a social media manager.
right.
You gotta have a
I
tripod.
feel like you can always market certain things. So you have to have a tripod on you. Or, you can now, my brother was first working the camera. Now we're both coaching. So now, okay, hey, just put the camera up, set it up over there, and we can get this whole setup. Post that. Boom, that's everything is content at this point. So that's when I kind of started changing my mindset. A couple clients started wanting strength training. So didn't have any options for gyms or weights. It was like, I had a couple things at home that I could bring, but I could come to your house. So I had a couple clients who bought in from literally day one, was traveling to the at-home gyms, and making use of their equipment, but still providing, the one-on-one service for strength training. So that's initially how I got into strength training, um, just based off of the initial clientele that I created. Once I started doing that, I'm like, okay, let's find a gym. Like, let's find a actual place to where we can actually do a little bit more, and we can have other clients come versus
We're
just
expanding.
right.
We're expanding. So what was like the first place or the gym that like you started at?
Shout out to Amari Henderson. He actually put me on this gym. And it was by our house, and it was like 24 hours. So literally, as long as you had a key card, like a fob, you could gain access and kind of do what you need to do.
So how did that go? Like how many clients were you like seeing at the gym now?
So it started pretty much, I'm working out with clients. Like I'm going there to work out myself, and then I might bring one or two clients in here or there.
So you're not training
Right.
them per se. Are
Not
you charging them?
no.
Okay.
No. So at first I'm not charging. It's like, hey, because the relationships were so strong at first with these parents and families that were, hey, we love what you guys are doing with our, big team, but I want you to work with my son one on one. Can he just hang around, pick up, any small things from you all, and we can take that and kind of just, get better. So, and then I'm like, well, the entrepreneurship mentality came out, always been there. So it's like, well, I can still work out, but I can have clients come maybe once I'm done. And so then I can train them one on one and then be able to charge a one on one fee versus like, if you're working out with me, I wouldn't charge. So I would work out and then they would come, like I would have to walk outside. We'd have to walk in together, like whole situation. So I was going again, still working my 9 to 5. So I'm going maybe at like 6 a.m.
Okay. To the
right?
gym.
6:30 at the gym. So I could still be home and do what I need to do. And I think that lasted for like 2 months, slowly but surely growing clients. At this point, I think on Saturdays is my biggest day.
Okay.
So literally walking out, walking them back in, walking out, walking back in.
You acting like this your gym.
I'm acting literally, little did I know. So this is not, well, funny after the fact, but we were starting very early. So this was a 24-hour gym to where they were only staffed at certain hours, which were like normal 9 to maybe like 2 hours. So you can go in whenever you want to. We were starting at 5 at this point. It was a big group that day. Maybe like
So you're having a group session.
this
now.
is a group. This is a
Okay.
group.
How many people are in the group?
Probably like 8.
You have a group of
Now-
8 at the Anytime Fitness. I don't know if it's Anytime Fitness, but at Anytime
Yeah, we're
Fitness.
not gonna promote what gym it was.
Okay.
But just know.
Okay, so there's a group of 8 at a public gym, and
Public
you're
gym.
training all of them.
Well, I had a couple guys there just so we could all kind of like badge in. So not everyone was on my key card, but we had a couple key cards that were used just so to cover us on the back end. So finessing the system, to say the least. That day, the owner of the gym decided to show up like
At 5 o'clock in the
at
morning.
5 o'clock in the morning to an unstaffed gym. But at this point, he had been watching me on camera. I didn't even know who he was, but I'm seeing somebody just walk around passing out paper. It's 5 in the morning though. Like, so I'm like, okay, what's going on? Like, I got my headphones going. Like, I'm not really. He was walking around the gym with with registration sheets. Hey, I'm passing these out to everybody. Can you put your first name? Like, can you put all your information down? We just want to make sure it's correct on the system. So it's nothing emergency wise. So I'll set it down and I got you before I leave. And he was like, nah, I need that. I need y'all right now. Oh, I was like, right now? Okay, no problem. No problem, sir. So first name, last name, email. I believe it might have been address. Like literally gave him
Your social security.
right.
Yeah.
Right. So he was just like, he walked us to the front, took everyone's paper. It was like a group of 8, took everyone's paper. He was like, yeah, y'all gonna have to go. Came back like, yeah, all y'all gonna have to go. And I'm like, he's pretty much just saying like, I have all your information. I have everyone's contact here. This is trespassing, and yes, it got it. And this is 5:30. Remember, so we're still kind of waking it up. It's very early for conversation.
And
Especially
he played y'all too.
played us, like literally, like so very early to have serious conversation like that. So, long story short, we ended up having to leave. We're banned from that gym. Authorities were threatened to be called. So that literally was the turning point to where, okay, now let's figure something out. I think, again, life will throw you curveballs. It might be intentional, to figure out what the better plan is. But at that time, truly didn't have a plan. It was like, okay, now you have a good group of people that are willing to wake up at 5:30.
Yeah, and to like
Or wake
go
up
to
at
jail.
6. Right.
To
Really
work out
behind
with
the
you.
brand, really on business. Like, so that was a situation to where it's like, okay, here are the positives, here are the negatives, here's what you got to figure out. So
Before we get to like, in retrospect, what was going through your head at that moment? It's 5:30. It's dark outside, and
Kayla
I
was
want to
hot.
say it's cold because that's why you're not on the
Very
field.
cold.
And you just got kicked out the gym.
Yes.
And
So
you're banned from going back to the
yes.
gym. Were y'all standing outside in the cold? Did you go sit in the car and debrief?
The drive home was with me and Amari, my friend. So he's basically my neighbor. So we were riding together, and he was I don't think and so literally mid set, like we're all sweating, and it's like, hey, you gotta leave. And it's just like, bro, like, can I finish this set? Like, can I do I have time to stretch? Like, no cool down. Y'all gotta go now. So imagine like sweats in hand, water bottle in hand.
You have to take the walk of shame.
Literally from the back of the gym, get all your stuff, and y'all had to leave now. So like a whole mob, people just grabbing all their stuff, like, bro, like what? Like,
That's funny.
I was hot. I was confused as to like, okay, why did you even wake up? Like, how are you watching me on? So, but then also understanding, like that wasn't the right thing to be doing at the time. He called us as a business owner now. It's like I definitely understand where he was at. He just got to make sure everything on his end is covered, waivers, paperwork, So, but the ride home, I think Amari did not play a song. Like on the way there, we turned up listening to Future and all that. On the way home, I'm like this on the window. Bruh. He pulled up to my house. We probably sat in the car for like 30 minutes. Just on some like.
Did y'all talk, or was it still
It wasn't
silent?
too much conversation being said. It was just like, dang, bro. Like really, he really kicked us out. Like, he really woke up this early and kicked us out the gym. What are we going to do now? And I think at this time, Amari might have been, I think, training for his upcoming professional season. So I think this was a time like he was with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So he was prepping to go off to play with them. So he was like in need of a facility that was, I won't say trustworthy, but like
He wasn't gonna get kicked out of.
right. So somewhere he could like post up, do what he needs to do, take care of his body. It was wintertime, so it was too cold to be outside. So that's why it was like, well, things had kind of slowed down training wise because all of my activities were outside. So now find a gym. Cool, we found one. Now let's get this thing back rolling to where we're having 100 kids for the week. Let's keep it rolling. Like, we enjoyed the money that was coming in. Again, still side hustle mentality, not really too thinking, hey, let's start a business. So boom, we're forced into this gym because of the situation. Boom, was forced to get kicked out. He was just like, bro, like, what you gonna do? Like, again, someone in my circle that was challenging me to figure it out.
What's the plan?
What's the plan? Like, you've taken it this far, like, so what's next? Like, you got clients. He was down to go wherever. Like, we had a couple workouts in our apartment gym at the time, and he was like, nah, bro, this ain't it. This ain't it. So again, challenging me to figure it out, be the best version of myself. So shout out to him for that. I told a couple of my friends who had worked out with us just on a more comical aspect now, like, hey, bro, you're not gonna believe what happened. And from there, got some connections and was able to get set up in a private gym that was just being started in the downtown Charlotte area. So
Okay.
a little bit more than maybe 10 to 15-minute drive. So it was honestly something that definitely just kind of took in stride and ran with.
Wow. Okay, so that's definitely a story. So so you got kicked out. Did you have clients at the time? Like, what did you do when you had like clients and you didn't have a gym? Like, were you inviting them to your apartment gym, or like, what'd you do?
So the first couple of days was tough, just like, thinking about what the next step is going to be. Like, what can I do? It was just like you feel sorry for yourself a little bit. It's like, well, dang, like, it was good while it lasted, or it was, like, it was fun while it lasted. So after a couple of days, clients started reaching back out. Hey, when's the next session? Again, parents, hey, what's going on? What's your schedule? Hey, what you guys thinking? It's getting warmer. You got anything planned? So now it's like, from there, kind of gave them the game plan. Hey, found this gym. Don't know what it's going to look like. At the time, the gym was just getting started. So it was like maybe 10 yards of turf, maybe like 2 racks, couple bars, like not too much equipment in there. So I had to get creative there.
Did you have to pay for that gym, or did they
Yes.
like do you a favor?
Yes. So had to pay monthly rent.
Okay, so now you're really investing. Now you bought equipment. Now you have to pay rent. Were you like making enough money to be paying rent, like from the business?
No, no. So again, one of my tips for my entrepreneurs out there, please, please, please keep some type of revenue stream coming in throughout your entrepreneurship process. A lot of what you do will need some type of funding or some type of capital, or some type of credit, have a good credit line. So at that time, the money that I was spending for the rent, like the overhead, was coming from my 9 to 5 job, or the money that I was saving. Wasn't really making too much off the training to be able to buy equipment, invest in certain things, or invest back into the business, or pay rent overhead like all together at one time. So
How much was rent? How much did he quote you for?
I think it was like 500
$1,200
initially. Five, or no, I think at first it was like 600
a month.
a month
Okay.
from nothing. It's like 0 to 600. Hey, need this, like, hey, you can start, but I need this like day one. My friends at the time definitely helped out with the initial investments to go into the rent. And then after that first month, it was pretty much all on myself, the business, to keep making that 600 every month.
Okay. What was the first month like? Did you get new clients? Was it just the old clients? Like, did you make rent?
In reality, money definitely slowed down. So a couple of days, it was just myself, Jay, and then one of my good childhood friends, Bradford Brooks. Like, we all lived in the same, like, within 2 minutes of each other. So carpooling to the gym, me, Jay, Brad, and Amari. So if Brad didn't come, it might be just me and Jay.
So y'all are actually just working out
We're
together.
just working out. So it's literally like, hey, I found this gym. Like, let's go get some work in. My friend Lamar Briggs. So I've been working with him since about 2020 as well too. He's a professional baseball player. He's actually in Australia and also in Canada this past season. So doing really big things. He's been professional for 5 or 6 years. Time's flying, but I think 5 or 6 years. One of
So
my
you got some heavy hitters in the gym
heavy,
working out with you though.
and that's the thing. Is like, okay, only was having like 2 to 3 people additionally on top of like myself, but the guys or the clients that I had were professional athletes, or had some type of pool in their respective industry, respective sport. So I was able to like make connections off of that initial group. But like, those are my friends though. So it's more so like, not even really thinking of clients. It's more so, hey, my friends are in the gym and we're all working out, but they are respectively doing their own like big things in professional sports. So
Okay. So when did you like change? When did you like make a shift from like, hey, I'm actually paying rent for me and my friends to work out together.
right.
So like maybe I should like bring some more clients
Right.
in.
So, okay, this is honestly when the business plan got redefined. Through this period of time, I believe we signed like a 6 month contract. Still, the first couple months were very slow. Some days it was literally, and we were working out at 6 a.m. at this time.
And so
So,
you're still spotting rent from your pocket.
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So, first month didn't make it. So,
Okay.
had a conversation like, hey, bro, like, just getting started. Like, this is the vision, this is the plan, but I cannot pay this right now. I'm like, I'm literally giving you more than I'm making. So, he was gracious enough in that time to look out, right? Had a heart for your boy. So it was like, you know, figure it out, do what you need to do, but I'm gonna give you like 2 months, and then it's gonna go back to. So gave us some grace, gave us a period of time to kind of like build and grow. Over time, just slowly but surely, we started making a little bit more. First couple months, just breaking even was a win. Like, it literally was a sigh of relief. Because if you think about now, gas, paying a little bit more on my gas. On a business perspective, I love working with athletes, so that's kind of like my close to my heart. But business wise, it would probably make more sense to kind of transition into more of a lifestyle space.
Just for people who don't know, what's a lifestyle client?
So our brain is split up in between like professional athletes or athletes in general, and then also lifestyle clients. So athletes, more of our performance training style, to where you're prep prepping your body for running, jumping, swimming, combat, whatever the case is, like, but you're preparing for sports. So those movements and those workouts might be a little bit more intense, a little bit different based off of our lifestyle clients who are might have weight loss goals, might have cardio numbers that they want to hit, or
See a little definition
Right,
here.
right.
Okay.
Just kind of lose around the waist, tone, whatever the case is. But you're not training to go run a 40-yard dash, but just training honestly for a healthier lifestyle, changes to the body, things of that nature.
Okay. And so you made a change to your business plan
Yes.
to include lifestyle clients.
Yeah. So that was honestly the biggest pivot to where I think got us to where we are today is it was just a tough, sports is what we've been pushing, football is what we've been pushing, track, speed, everything of that nature. But now it's like, okay, change the brand. You can still work with your athletes. You can still provide, elite services to your athletes, but just change what it looks like a little bit or change the marketing plan. And again, friends that want to see you grow, want to see the best out of you, or can just see something to where they can provide assistance in everywhere in any way possible, was able to meet yourself is definitely when I think the change kind of helped and shifted. So was able to, I guess, bring you on as like more of a consultant, business consultant.
Can I tell my story?
Yes. Honestly, she did everything under the sun. Like I wouldn't even really put a title on what, like, you actually did everything. So it's tough to put a title
I
on.
remember, and I hadn't worked out, like I had gained my COVID weight, all the things. I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna try it, not thinking too much of it. Um, I remember going and I thoroughly enjoyed the experience. I remember like DMing the page, hadn't met you, and you were like, okay, like let me know what days you want to come. I'll send you an invoice. And you had sent me like a personal invoice for like the week, I think. And you were creating invoices for every client every week. I remember there were a couple times that I think I might have came to the gym and didn't pay because I was like, hey, like don't forget to like send me the invoice. And I was like, for me personally, I really liked I think he's a great trainer. I think he knows what he's doing. But I can't be like in debt, like waiting for him to send me an invoice. And so I remember I asked Brad I was like, hey, do you think your friend would be okay if I asked to like, just help him
Right.
out on the business side? And he was like, yeah, I think he would be fine. And we talked. And I remember we talked business plan. We talked, okay, like maybe let's clean up the pricing a little bit. Like, what makes it free to charge people? Let's clean up the website. Let's get you a good booking system. And I do remember the transition to lifestyle clients because you also, which I'll ask you about, is you created another class for your lifestyle client because you were starting at 6 a.m. and then you made a transition to 5 a.m. So tell me a little bit about what that looked like of waking up and starting life an hour earlier it was only 2 of us at the time.
Right.
So for 2 people, you were
Yes.
waking up an hour earlier.
Yes. So in this time frame, again, like the restrictions on the gym that we were in, we pretty much agreed to work in between the certain hours and have clients come in, whatever clients you could get, right, in between certain hours of the day. Our time slots based off the availability were up until 7 a.m. So 6 to 7 was honestly the best time just because you weren't waking up as early as like 5:30, whatever the case is. So, or you weren't working out at that time. So waking up at like 5:15, getting to the gym at 6, done by 7 was pretty much the standard schedule for myself at that point. So again, having athletes, right, that workout might look a little bit different from what I would have my lifestyle clients on. So having 2 workouts at the same time and providing the same amount of attention that I would want to just got tough in a sense. And yourself and Tierra Atkins were the first 2 lifestyle
OGs.
OGs, like
Yeah.
came in really energized and really were wanting
We
to
also gave you hell.
but it was fun though. We had fun. But the determination, the mentality that you all brought to the gym was like, bro, I don't like 5 a.m. Like, let's do it. Like, I was like, it was a tough conversation because I'm like, you guys have been coming at 6, and when you ask someone to wake up earlier, it's like, well, you're pushing everything
You could have lost your
up.
clients.
Right. So that was one of those things where, hey guys, thank you for rocking with me up until this point, but I think this will just be best for not only your fitness goals, but schedule purposes as well too. Little did we know, we were up at 5 a.m. like 3 to 4 days a week from that first.
We were getting up at like 4. Okay, to
Right.
get there by 5.
Getting there by 5, like starting at 5. That was the initial 5 a.m. group. in 2022, and now like 2025, that's probably my most consistent class.
Shout out to the 5
Shout out to the
a.m.s.
5 a.m. group.
Let's talk about you as a side hustler now, because now you're waking up at 5. What's your class schedule, and then what's your schedule also now for? Are you still doing the call center?
Okay. No.
Okay, so you got a new job
Got a new
amidst
job.
of also.
We leveled up.
Okay, so how did that happen?
So honestly, and so it was a customer care role, and with COVID, it pushed everything to more of a um, blended team. So like I was more so working via email communication for like 90% of my clients that I was working with. It turned into, hey, still, work on your emails, but also I need you taking physical calls as well too. And that's something I just really wasn't comfortable with. Obviously, due to the pandemic, everything was unplanned and kind of just, you're just trying to do the best that you can on the go, on the fly. And it was just something I was not that's not what I wanted to do. It was very stressful. It just got exhausting. And so it was one of those things where I don't even remember how I learned about my company, and I was just looking for a new start, new change, or something fresh, just a different, environment. And it was a rotational program. I thought I bombed the interview, cannot lie, but it was something that I think definitely also had an impact on my business as well too. So now I'm not working, or I'm not in a stressed environment, stressed workplace. Have a little bit more mental clarity. The job I am working with now is a hybrid role, so a little bit more flexibility on, don't have to go into the office, which I definitely was looking for. And I was able to set my training schedule around the hybrid model. So being that I can clock on now at 9 and be at home versus like having to go into the office, definitely helped out with the schedule. And right now, I would say like every day for me is a little bit different, but majority of my days start at 5 a.m. in the morning in the gym. I have a 5 a.m. class, 6 a.m. class, and then 7 a.m. class. Following my 7 a.m. class, I'll have my professional athletes will probably finish around 9 a.m. And then my meetings for work honestly start around, like, depending on the day, 9:30,
You still
10.
running 10 minutes late?
No, I'm on time now. Try to get in 3 days a week. If not, I can kind of get in more depending on what I have going on. I'll work from like 9 to my last meeting, maybe start at 4, done by 4:30. We'll have sessions at 4:30, and I'll probably be 4:30, 5:30 p.m., and then 6:30 p.m. as well.
Also, that's a big change from, I think, where we left off in the gym story. Was you actually had limited schedule availability in the gym that you were in at the time, with the person who had let you kind of like rent it out. Why'd you leave? Because you're not in that building now. You do have, like, Chosen One Training has their own gym
Facility.
that you can
Yes.
search on Google Maps, and like it pops up. So why did you leave that space, and what did that process look like?
We were there maybe, I think, a year and a half.
Okay.
I'll just say 2 years to be safe. But the first year, more of a trial phase, right? My first couple months, just myself and my friends that wanted to work out, right? Some for athletic goals, some just to stay in shape. Started transitioning into my first year of lifestyle client, so that was like 2022, and that was definitely a game changer. So was able to start with you two ladies, and from there with our social networks, just kind of word of mouth, just started slowly growing.
We
Over
started doing events. I remember planning your first like anniversary party.
right. So not only outside of like the gym and training, also creating the community aspect. So again, we were having events for our 2nd year anniversary, 3rd year anniversary. We started having kickball events.
I remember that. That
Right.
was a good time. That
Right.
was a good time.
We had, and I forgot to mention this, but in 2020, so we started doing 7-on-7 events.
What's 7-on-7 for people who don't know?
So 7-on-7 is your way of playing football or being competitive in football without pads.
Okay.
So
there's no tackle.
no tackle. It's
Okay.
everything is like either touch or like flags.
Okay.
So similar to like flag football. That was one of the positive moments to where, okay, hey, even though I'm not training all these people that are here, we still have some type of like brand awareness in our community to where, hey, we might can use this in other ways. So was able to have 2 7-on-7s in my first like 6 months. and both of those events had like 100 participants.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
So that was kind of where we first started like building a brand outside of just like being a trainer or being a coach
Okay.
or just kind
Coach
of being
Horton.
right. So we had kickball events. We were now like utilizing our lifestyle clients who are dope in their own respect. Like literally everyone has a story, everyone has a, background or some type of connection to just anything that they're interested in. Like just we had a lot of dope people that have come through the gym that I've trained. So was able to just utilize those social circles and have events. So like the anniversaries, the kickballs, events for Valentine's Day. We were having like workouts and then also like social gatherings after the workouts. Um, and that's just honestly just kind of started to build traction in Charlotte, build traction within our friend group. And so it started turning into like, hey, I see that you train. I see that you work with athletes, but do you work with regular people, quote unquote, now? Or I don't want to do this. I'm not training for the NFL, but I want to
Yeah,
come.
because the bear
Right.
crawls, you can keep them. You
Right.
can keep a.
Right. So it's like now people are starting to reach out. Hey, I go here or I have a trainer, I have a gym, but can I just come to you guys on the weekends or can I just come to you guys on like a smaller scale? And then so from there, I'm a big believer if I can get you in the building or get you in our space, get you in our community, our conversion rate is like I'm like 85%, I'll say 90%. The workout aspect is it's gonna take care of itself. Like the work is gonna be good. You're gonna get them a good workout in. But that's like the least of your concerns. Like you're gonna get just some type of conversation. You're gonna get some type of someone might work with you. You might have a coworker there. You might have a line sister that works out there. Like so it's just, um providing those type of vibes, pairing with fitness. That's honestly the transitional phase to where we just started growing slowly but surely, right? I believe the turtle always wins the race. And it got to a time where it's like, on a business perspective, hey, came to the owner, I'm looking for more times. I'm really trying to expand, like, and at the time he's expanding as well too. So it's just one of those things where there's not enough hours in the day for us to be in the same situation, both kind of on the level of growth that we're trying to achieve. So I just was having to turn it down. I was at this point turning down clients like, you know, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough space. Hey, I can train and work with you, but it'd be like 7:30 p.m., 8 o'clock at
Oh
night.
my goodness.
You know what I mean? So it was one of those things where, hey, at that time, let's figure something out. We're having people kind of like either put on the wait list or just kind of turned away in general, going elsewhere because of our specific situation. And how can I change that situation is get your own gym, like get your own facility.
Just
Or,
like that, get your own space.
I mean, at that point, I'm like, again, entrepreneurship mentality. I didn't want to go anywhere else and be like working on someone else's schedule. I wanted to be able to set my own schedule. And again, though everything up to now was just like building confidence and building the courage to take that step of, okay, $600 a month was a lot at first, but in reality, I want to be able to like pay whatever the overhead fee is and have other people kind of cover the
Have
rent for.
profit.
Right. So, um, it was one of those things where it just grew out of the space. It was definitely time. I think everything timed up perfectly in the sense of when our contract was up, we were able to find a space and location and kind of, I would say as smoothly as possible, transition into the facility that we own now.
How'd you find a space? How'd you find a space?
Hmm.
Like, what did that like? How long did it take you to find it? Because I feel like as someone, I know like what happened behind the scenes. But I feel like a lot of people they see your business and it's like, okay, like they left another space and got their own, and it was like, boom, it's
Right.
done. But I don't think that does justice to your story, how hard you worked, like all the work that went into it, and like the transition period, because smoothly as possible also like wasn't as smooth for you behind the scenes. So talk to me about like what did it look like from the moment the other contract was over to getting to like, hey, we're in our new space.
So in that transitional phase, I believe we probably were on calls just about 3 to 4 times a week, just like
We
checking
talked
in.
a lot.
We talked a lot. Like it was hey, like, what are you gonna do? Like, can you take a look at this? What do you think about that? Like, just sending like ideas. You providing just great feedback on the outside, kind of looking in of like, okay, this is what it should look like, or this is what we think, plan wise, we can try this, we can try that. Just providing different options. And we had an Excel sheet. I believe it was maybe like 15 to 20 different spots. 20.
TBT. Yeah.
Um, I know I was reaching out to some spots. You were reaching out, right? Jay and Ricky was reaching out to some places, like, and literally not getting calls back, not getting email back. Um, Pulling up. I'm pulling up literally any free time I had. I'm just driving around Charlotte looking for signs, looking for lease for sale signs, just trying to see anything that was out there. So process wise, we 8 months, I would say, from start to finish, give or take. But took us about 8 months. We toured, I believe, 3 to 4 different spots around
Heard
Charlotte.
a lot of no's.
Heard a lot of no's. And again, just based off of like, parking requirements. There are some businesses that didn't want a gym because of noise or traffic flow. It was challenging because literally working, training, and then also trying to tour or trying to find locations, trying to be um consistent with the search as well too.
You had a lot going on.
A lot.
You had a lot going
A
on.
lot.
The place that you have now, I remember the first time we toured. What was that building when you first saw it? Like, what was in it? What did it look like?
Oh my God. It was so great building, great people that were, helping us there. But it was 2 levels. So the building is pretty much 2 levels. Like the front side is the office area. So had traditional desk and people operating and printers. So your traditional office style. But in the back, right, where our gym floor was a warehouse. So essentially just storage.
What was the warehouse? Do you remember?
I believe it was like old carpet. Like they had some contracts with like hospitals to where they provided like carpet, paint, like industrial paint. So it was like tubs of paint stacked in layers, rugs. It was like just wood everywhere. The first couple of days was like just cleaning everything out, cleaning it twice, cleaning it 3 times, getting the dust out, uh, power clean, like power washing the floor, dusting everything.
How did you learn how to do all this?
Mr. Williams.
Okay,
So
full circle.
full circle. So the way he managed his properties, he did a lot of the management by himself or had small contractors, but he was pretty much self-sufficient. He knew how to change everything in there. He knew how to do everything in there. So
And he taught you.
he taught me. Like, and a lot of the things I can admit my first time probably doing them, but at least had the confidence to say, I'm at least try. And if I need to hire somebody for like the bigger jobs. But um YouTube University. I think that's one of the big things too. Like if I didn't know something or if someone didn't know, look it up. Somebody knows how to, and then just try to emulate what they're doing.
So I feel like you're playing a little bit coy, and we're not gonna go like that. So I feel like you missed a couple pieces somewhere about like in the transition when it was the lease for the first space was ending. And then there was about a week of time before the new space was going to be ready. And you were like, no, we can do it. We can have people. And I said, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. It's 4th of July. Like, what if you just tell people, like, hey, we're going on break for the holidays? People won't think twice about it. And so you literally transitioned spaces and took a week. I want to say you took a week off from your full-time job too.
Yes.
You took a week off from your full-time job to help get the space ready.
For vacation.
For vacation. Y'all was working. Okay. And y'all were, shout out to Mr. Williams, because y'all were doing any and everything in the sun and like getting rid of the cans of paint, doing the like, y'all were putting down turf, putting down mats. I remember stopping by to drop something off, and y'all were sweating more than y'all do during a workout. And I think a lot of times people don't actually realize or understand that a lot of times businesses, especially small businesses, things are not what they seem. And like you have to create a story and a narrative to still like keep business as usual, which is what I feel like you all did and did really well during the transition time of like getting your new space. And so I want to ask you, like, what do you remember about that week, which I'll call Hell Week? What do you remember
Very much
about
so.
that week?
Woo. Surface level, everything went well over time. We had some delivery issues, so literally was stressed about like clients were starting on one day. Our mats that we were like using now were like a week and a half late. So
What'd
we
you do in the interim?
we we had some workout. So the warehouse is like warehouse flooring,
So concrete.
concrete, like very. We ended up cleaning it up, like sweeping and making it as beautified as perfect as possible, if that's a word, beautified or uh more aesthetically pleasing to say the least. But we had workouts on concrete at first. I'm not even gonna lie. So like half our gym was turf that we installed ourselves.
We're gonna talk about the turf. We're gonna put a in
Okay.
because we're coming back to the turf.
Okay. So turf we installed ourselves. Half the gym is turf, half would be mats, but our mats didn't come in time. So we had a couple like horse stall mats, or which are pretty much just like carpets, but mats in a sense. We had like 4 or 5 of those laid out across the gym, and we were just like, hey,
Pick a mat.
pick a mat, grab your weights, and we just had to get creative with our first week or two on the workouts because we were limited in just equipment and things of that nature, waiting for things to come. But the first day we were cleaning, like my vocal cords were like it was dusty. It was very dusty, and we had like a blow dryer, like blowing all the dust and everything out, and it literally was just like funneling. So the first like day or two, I'm coughing. Like I'm like, yo, what's going on? Like having cough attacks at home just because of the dust. So started wearing like the COVID mask in there, like literally the
Yo,
ski
did you
mask.
call Mr. Williams? Like, did he know that you were like in your bag?
I told him my plan before we got the space, and then I did call him after the grand opening. So he didn't really see the in between process, but I just pretty much thanked him for one, like inspiring me and just providing that those gems of knowledge, and just to kind of let him know that I am like taking steps on what we talked about, like what the plan was to become an entrepreneur, and I'm utilizing the skills that he taught me. But um, we ended up turf installation by ourselves. The mats finally came. We put those down, cut those, like sized them for the room, cut those ourselves. My back literally, I do remember vividly my back hurting for like 2 weeks because the mat itself, um, the mats itself came in like rolls and like saran wraps. We didn't have a dolly. We didn't have any machines to physically lift and move. So we literally were all hands on. Um, I had an intern at the time, so shout out to Justin. He was there hands on
Not
every
you were
time.
hazing the intern.
Right. So we probably scared him off. No, I'm just playing. He's still with us, but he was helping as well too. So we had more hands on deck. We were having clients at the time come help with just small, like I had some ladies that were like putting up some tent on windows, helping paint, literally helping organize. So it was literally a hands-on
The
effort.
village showed up.
The whole village showed up. So shout out to everybody that came through, brought food, brought water. Like, hey, I know y'all in there, been in there all day. Just eat, sit down and eat, rest, take some time to yourself. And then we were right back to it. But I say vividly, I remember my back hurting just because we were moving all that stuff by ourselves. Luckily, we had some equipment from when we were doing like our outside workouts, just small dumbbells, ropes, things of that nature that we already had to kind of help us transition into when our equipment, everything delivered that we ordered. I ended up contracting some workers to paint the facility. So getting those painters in there, I think that was like maybe a week or two after we started doing our sessions. So everything wasn't complete when we first had people in the building, but we're just like, hey y'all, this is our new space. Everyone's excited. And from there it was like just slowly but surely.
We had been planning for you to be in a new space for, like you said, for like 8 months. And so we had an Excel sheet of like all the equipment that you would need, what you already had, how much you were budgeting to spend on it. And I was like, "Do you have turf?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, I have turf. It's the wrong color,
Right.
but I'm gonna spray paint it."
You're right.
I said, "Okay." Like I'm not gonna ask no questions. I remember coming to the gym as y'all are prepping. You wanted the turf to be black, but it was green. And y'all spray painted the turf. I vividly remember anybody who had on shoes that were light walked out with black shoes for like the first couple of weeks. I said, "Coach, come on now. Like, I can't wear my nice shoes." into the gym because like they gonna come out black.
That's facts. So now, just for to get my
Your side of the story.
thought process. So we had some turf from one of our high school field, right? They were getting new turf. So with the old turf, or actually it was brand new turf, but with the excess turf they didn't use, we pretty much were, it was literally just out there. Somebody called us like, hey, if you want this turf, there's some out here. It's not cut evenly, like it's pretty much excess, but it's enough, right? Enough for a gym, enough for a home gym, or whatever. At this time
It was bare bones. You were taking what you
right.
can get.
It was pandemic. People were having home makeovers and doing whatever. So grabbed the turf, and we probably had that turf like a year in storage, just sitting a year. Didn't quite know how much it was as far as like how much distance and width when we could like put it all together, but um it was different shades of green though. So again,
It
like
wasn't just the wrong color. It was different shades of wrong
literally
color.
different shades. So different shades. You did have some colors with like blue, red, white. I'm like, yeah, let's try to get it all the same color. So athletic background, you can use like a paint sprayer machine to where you're like hand walking like a vacuum style.
Because that's how I do the lines.
That's how they do the lines on the field. So thinking, hey, just get the turf. We'll paint the turf like they paint the lines on the field that don't really come off. It would be good. Needless to say, our first workout, the paint came off instantly.
Everybody's shoes were black.
Literally everybody's shoes are black. I did refund a couple clients for like pedicures, manicures for their toes. Like,
did you really?
Had to, because they worked out in their socks. They like working out, shoot like barefoot. Some of the stuff we do just for stability and stuff. And their socks were black, and the paint the paint ended up going on their toes as well too. So I just got my toes done, and now my toes are black because of your turf. Is a text I got, and I'm like, sorry, like, so it's just like one of those things. But shout out to yourself and my mom. They convinced me to just buckle down.
You
like,
gonna have to
hey,
buy some more turf.
invest in yourself, right? Invest in yourself. So took all the turf up that we installed, right? That took literally a week to install. Took that up in a day, right? Was mad doing it the whole time, but took it up in a day, and we ordered some new turf. So another turning point, and I think definitely helped us out long term. You can wear your good shoes now. You could put a little fit on, come to the gym, have a good time.
We talked about a lot. And so I think something that I definitely want to make sure that we like cover before we end is that you started in 2020, so that'll be about 5 years ago now.
Right.
And for the first 2 years, you weren't actually like making a whole lot of profit. If you think back to where you were like when you had just gotten to the gym that wasn't yours, not the one you were renting, but the one that y'all were kind of finessing in. Do you remember like how many clients you had, how much you were making back then?
I would say close to like 400 or 500 a month.
Okay.
It wasn't too much. Again, it was more so enough for just like a couple bills, like additional bills to be taken care of. So like my gas was taken care of based off the clientele. And then at that time, I was into shoes, collecting shoes. So it was enough to get like a pair of shoes
Here and there.
like nothing
Okay.
crazy. But like 400 or 500 a month.
Okay. Now, fast forward to today, which that was about 2 years in. So that means 3 years have passed. And I want to say that Chosen One Training is like a 6-figure.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
a lot of growth
A lot of growth.
to happen. And I think sometimes people actually statistically, most businesses fail within the first 2 years. I think because for like what we just talked about, like you don't see the growth happening. You're still figuring out what's the right business model. We're revisiting the business plan. We're figuring out our target market, like what's our clientele. But you have gone from that to now running a 6-figure business. So tell me, like, I think you said you had 5 or 6 clients back then. How many like consistent clients do you have today?
So we're ranging around like 70 to 80. So active members, and those are like members that come Monday through Saturday, not including our athletes. So I'll say in between 70, 80 with our athletes, probably closer to 100.
That's pretty impressive. And now I'm gonna ask you to name drop. I know you do train a couple of professional like athletes. You don't have to say their names, but you can say what teams they play for.
So Over the years, I've definitely had the opportunity to work with professional athletes, some former, some current. But I'll say like I've been able to work with one of the coolest experience was being from Charlotte, hometown kid, been able to work with a couple of athletes who've played with the Panthers. Have a couple that are currently play with them, and also have been traded, but that kind of stopped at the Panthers in their in between time in the career. So NFL clients, Cincinnati Bengals, Carolina Panthers, Kansas City Chiefs. One of my clients is actually a Super Bowl champion, so that was super super exciting. Minnesota Vikings. I have a couple of athletes that are professionally in the Canadian League as well. So CFL is the same, just about the same game, same rules as the NFL, which is in America, but or in the U.S. Excuse me, but in Canada, a little bit different rules, but still professional football on a Canadian playing field. So I have a couple clients on Calgary, and please forgive me if I'm mispronouncing these names. They're Canadian teams, but Saskatchewan Rough Riders. I have clients on Montreal.
But it's pretty impressive. And then you also have baseball. You have other sports as
Yes, so have expanded outside of football. So have professional baseball client, been able to work with um, some professional basketball players as well too. So a couple of my basketball players play internationally. So one of my most recent clients, I believe, went to like Russia to play, which is super
wow.
cool.
Yeah.
Being able to travel, work with track athletes.
Okay, so I have to ask now, it's because it is the diary of a side hustler. What does your schedule look like now that you all do have your own facility? You do offer like more training times, you do have more flexibility, but you still work a full-time job. Like you actually, I think there is this idea of like 9 to 5 and 5 to 9. I think you work 5 to 9, 9 to 5, and another 5 to 9
Right.
somewhere in
Yes.
there. So what does that look like for you?
So now, being that the business is growing, I think it definitely allowed for me to take a step back in the sense of going into year 5. Now, I think the product itself is running, the service itself is running. Now it's just more so the back end, trying to make sure that, operations are taken
That booking
care of.
system. No, I'm
Book,
joking.
right, the systems are taken care of. Um, following up, just more so keeping it personal. So now my days will be, I'll still have my morning sessions. I am a morning person, so still staying with those. Hybrid model. So depending if I'm going into the office or not, I'll work my 9 to 5 starting at like about 9 or 10, depending on the day, depending on what I have what going on and things of that nature. And then so 5 to about 8 a.m. Working from 9 to about 4:30, and then probably have a session or two depending on the day in the evenings. If not, then just kind of working on some back end stuff, whether it's client consultations, or if I'm working on some type of marketing promotion, or just honestly planning out
Doing
my next
payroll.
right payroll. We do have some people now that are working part time with the business, so helping out as well. That can kind of take a little bit off of my plate and kind of help delegate and expand, not only on a business level but also on a personal level as well too.
I feel like that's a major accomplishment as a founder or CEO to be at a place to say, I actually like don't have to do everything and I can walk away. And so, like I said, I'm very excited to like share your story, but I'm also very proud, like as a friend who's like seen where you started of like, he's a really good trainer, but like there's like some things here in the middle we can clean up.
Right.
I'm so proud to see you like do it and do it so gracefully and graciously. Um, and one thing I enjoyed hearing about your story is that I feel like you are who you always have been. Like you still take care of your friends. Like they started with you. You are still really big into social posting because like that's also like how you started before you got a gym. And so I think it's interesting to like just hear the story of like everything you did, whatever, it's all fueled, like, who you are today and, like, the success that you have, I think, like, speaks to it, because I've heard the people say, "Chosen one or no one."
What they say?
Man,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah,
they
yeah, they chosen one or no one. So I wanna say congratulations and happy anniversary to you.
Thank you.
Before we close, I do have one question for you. Have you ever considered quitting?
Quitting.
Like, "I don't wanna do this anymore, running the business."
Yes, I would say 2 times. Within this 5 years, 2 times. I would say in the in-between process of getting kicked out of the gym, transitioning from, like, football to lifestyle, it was a tough time just because clientele slowed down, basically stopped. And it's just a period of, the longer you wait, I think the easier it is to kinda just say, "Well, maybe just I should let it go. Maybe this is a sign to just stop here, stop now." But I think, like I said, and I just can't say this enough, I think God just literally puts you in places to where, um, either He's speaking through someone to get to you, or literally things that happen in your life that force you to get on the path, like get on the right path, or like you might get off track, or you might be in a wrong place mentally, but things in your life will just honestly force you. Or I just can speak to my life, like things happen in my life that force me to take a path or force me to make a decision. And to this point, I think everything has, just happened for a reason. And then the second time, I would say, as business expanded, I think after our first year in the gym, our first year, I think we probably increased profit, like I believe it's like 120%. So yes, that's great for the business, but on a um, mental aspect, I think it was just a lot in a sense of like, well, now you're dealing with a lot more people, not only servicing a lot more people on the gym floor, which is cool, which was, I think, perfect, but it's more so like, how do you balance the lifestyle between like, okay, you're working, you're giving your energy and time here. You're still trying to have a personal life, but then also you're still trying to make sure that yourself is okay. So it's like definitely, I wouldn't say quitting in this second aspect, more so just kind of like taking a step back and taking time for myself. So I wouldn't say really quitting, more so like pausing or just halting, thinking like, pivoting and pausing in your journey is not a negative. It's not something that, uh, you should kind of shy away from, but I think it's something that, helped me to kind of refocus, reconnect back into why I'm doing this, what's the purpose, and finding what I truly like out of it.
Okay. So, as you know, this podcast is called The Diary of a Side Hustler. How would you define a side hustler?
That's a great question. I would say you can have a side hustle and you can be a side hustler, right? So someone who has a side hustle, it might just be something that you pick up and put down right? It might be seasonal, or it might be um, something you enjoy, but you're just not, serious about it. And that's fine. But I think that's more so just a side hustle. I think a side hustler is someone who has a vision on what they want to do, has a vision on what they want to accomplish, sets clear and achievable goals, and you will do anything to get to your goals, right? I think it's someone who doesn't take no for an answer. I think it's a problem solver, and I just think it's somebody who's resilient in everything that they do.
Amen. I love that. I love that. And so that is the end of my formal questions. However, um, in the spirit of this being a diary, a collection of stories, we do have an actual diary, which you have already written in. You don't have to read the entire thing, but I would love for you to read a piece from what you wrote, if that's okay.
Okay, yes.
Okay, I'll grab it.
Okay.
I will give this to you.
Thank you.
And so you did pick a prompt. And so can you tell us what the prompt was?
The prompt is, what is a personality trait you admire in other people? And then share your experience on this encounter with someone that has this trait. So a personality trait I admire is definitely perseverance. I've watched multiple clients battle through adversity, but still overcome their obstacles. Specifically, Torn during the second has motivated me in ways he wouldn't even understand. His unwavering efforts to continue to show up as the best version of himself is admirable. After pursuing a professional career in basketball, which is challenging in itself, retiring after a brutal injury on the court, and also losing a parent in one of the toughest times of his life, he's still able to show up as an amazing friend and client while he quit his professional coaching opportunity to return back to the court. I have nothing but respect, love, and humility for Torn. I wish him nothing but the best. Thank you for the reminder to remain true to yourself and that tough times don't last, only people do. And I can just kind of speak towards my situation in a sense of it's just going to be things that you have to work through, problem solve, figure out on the fly. Never panic, but just keep your resilience and just push through and just see your goal through. and I can kind of just tie this into just showing your survivor's mentality is a phrase that I wrote down here. And this is something that I think entrepreneurship is kind of revolved around, is just honestly having a goal and doing everything and putting everything into your goal, putting everything into yourself, investing into yourself, not just financially, but also mentally, physically, making sure your mental's okay, making sure that you're performing at an optimal level so you can provide a great service. I think all that kind of ties into just survivor's mentality, being resilient, and also just having great perseverance.